Hello and welcome to the Glass Prism Podcast, a show about exploring practical and unique ideas on how to live productively, healthy, and well-informed in a complicated world. On this episode, we are continuing part 2 of our discussion on some of the 2023 ideas I came up with and collected over the 2022 year. In the first episode, we talked about how wisdom comes with experience, not age, how shortcuts are just like gold, valuable and scarce, but easy to counterfeit, and why you should enjoy life as if you were a child, and many more interesting prompts to consider for the year. We certainly kept to the theme of the first episode with this second part, where I share some more quotes by me, but in this episode, we also share my personal favorite quotes by well-known figures you may know as well. Get ready to learn what happens to fighters by nature in times of peace, the characteristic differences between discipline and motivation by comparing the sun to a candle, and why your loved ones are like a crystal ball into the future, and many more. If you haven't listened to the first episode, don't worry, you don't need to enjoy this episode, but if you do enjoy it, you will love the first part of the series just as much. And on an embarrassing note, it seems like we forgot how to count recording this episode, because we most definitely missed one of the quotes we intended to share with you, which also happened to be one of my favorites too. So if you're interested in knowing what it was, in the interest of keeping our promise of 23 ideas for the year, we will share number 17 on our socials. So follow us at the Glass Prism Podcast on Instagram and TikTok to not miss out. And please do add us to your podcast wherever you get your podcasts to never miss an episode. This is the Glass Prism Podcast. Enjoy. All right, so we are back for part 2. I think part 1 was a success.
Firas fed us lunch,
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Sorry, were you gaslighting me? Where is this lunch you speak of?
Yeah, like, why did I pay for it?
Because you're a generous, kind human being, and we sat through a whole hour with you, listening to your thoughts and quotes.
No one is forced to be here.
True.
Bro, I have this feeling that, like, I'm about to sneeze, but I'm really not.
Oh.
You know that feeling?
That's me the whole
take a
time because
minute.
I'm nasally, so I'm like,
Oh, it's coming.
Bro, how'd you get sick? You work from home.
no, I got sick because of my brothers and sisters.
Oh.
But I prevented it as much as possible. Like, I just cleansed my body. I went, like, mouthwash, everything. I don't know, bro. It was just...
Eat a whole
I
lemon.
didn't want to deal with it while I was... Because I'm just starting work, and I'm learning a whole bunch of things, and, like, I can't deal with the headache right now.
Mouthwash is actually a farce. Like, you're not supposed to have it, period,
Oh.
like, at all.
Interesting. Didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I was about to have a sore throat come in. Like, I know the signs, but I just went straight for the mouthwash this time, and it just completely cleared all the bacteria in my mouth. Like,
Maybe it's the
I
placebo
prevented it. I
Yeah,
prevented it.
no, like, that definitely, but that's the problem. Because you wipe out all the bacteria, including the good ones.
Allowing the worst ones to fester.
Basically.
But
Yeah.
it's fine now, so it's good. I don't have a sore throat, at least.
And
That's why.
and you don't have good bacteria either.
That's fine.
Ooh.
I'll grow those good bacteria back.
Why did that sound like an insult?
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
worded that
use
like a roast.
I'm going to use that for... I bet you don't have good bacteria.
Bro, we're the weirdest bunch.
This is going on the Be Real.
It might be. All right, so
Ah, that must have hurt.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
You probably felt it more because
I heard it.
because you're a wuss. He was about to say it.
No, not your... because you have you don't have any good bacteria.
Because you have bad audio and bacteria.
Because you have bad bacteria. Why is this going to be... This is going to carry on. I think this is going to be a meme for us. Bad bacteria, good
It
bacteria.
might be.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it. First one is actually going to be a question to you guys.
Oh no.
We're going to start off differently.
Oh,
Pop
no.
quiz.
Okay, so what is the definition of health?
To feel good. I realize how strangely
The
that
funny part
came
is
out.
that he's not even wrong.
Yeah,
Like,
that
he's not
actually...
wrong. No
I
one
know-
can say like, "Oh, that's wrong." It's
No,
like,
no.
what is it?
Okay.
No-
Oh, you just
I
want to
will
feel
answer
healthy,
you.
right?
Say it again, and I'll answer you in a different way.
Okay.
Okay. What is health?
To feel good.
Well, it wasn't a different way.
That's
but...
definitely getting cut out.
Well, I didn't want to say to feel healthy. That's like using the word in the answer.
It's a circular definition.
Yeah.
Then.
Okay. All right. I've got a definition right here because I thought about this. Obviously, like doing a health sciences degree didn't help, by the way, learning what health even is.
Oh.
But I have my own definition, which is health is the accumulation of habits that maximize productivity and longevity.
So you're referencing rhythms, much like you did in our previous installation.
Yeah. Keywords being habit, productivity, and longevity.
Okay.
Right? So it's a habit. So you need to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing it habitually to make sure that you're being healthy. Because the vast majority of things that actually offer a lot of health benefits cannot just be done once and done with. Basically, you need to make sure that you're doing it in a periodic fashion.
Right.
Right.
Because like a good day does not mean a good year, right? Like if you don't maintain, then you might as well just not even.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then when people think about like, okay, what is health? It's two things, productivity and longevity. Because if you're healthier, you tend to live longer. But productivity is about like being productive, by the way. I don't just mean like doing work. I really do mean about like being happy, being like, these are things that are productive because they offer value to your life. Right.
Is the end goals of happiness also longevity or something? Or why wouldn't happy be?
No,
be
because
a part of
happiness feeds off of actions that are usually healthy. So generally speaking, when people maximize longevity, this is the fun. Like, it would suck if the things that made you happy over the long term were also the things that made you
unhealthy.
That would suck. But thankfully, it isn't. Generally, people who are healthy have good social circles, right? They exercise often, which is really good for their brain and like basically sleep and their mood in general, right? And eat well. Again, it's the feeling afterwards. You know how like eating well in general is not better than like everybody knows that they would rather eat a burger over asparagus or whatever. But at the end of the day, like you know that feeling when you have a burger, you just feel greasy. You just feel yucky for the rest of the day.
The McDonald's syndrome, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you ate that asparagus, yes, you're not going to enjoy it at the beginning. But by the way, like your body ends up biasing towards the healthy stuff over time. So you start to have a little bit of an aversion towards burgers.
You build a taste for it.
Yeah, you build a taste for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not always as
that I didn't know, but
health.
Yeah.
Maximizing your own human efficiency.
Which is productivity, but okay.
it's like raising your life's stats to the max.
Yeah. If you think about it, video game terms, health is just raising your stats,
buffing yourself to the end.
Yeah, that's
pretty much it.
That's actually a very accurate metaphor.
That's actually a good way to put it in a different term.
Yeah. Now that we got the boring one out of the way.
Okay.
That was boring.
Wait, that was what was the health part? It's just understanding what the definition of health is.
Exactly, because most people don't even know what it's like. Oh, this is healthy. This is why you should have it. Why should I have asparagus? Because it's healthy. They don't even know what that means. Like the fact that people don't even know what this means gives them a really tough time to be convinced about like why should I do this?
And like before we end this session, like the reason that my mind jumped to just physical like feeling good is just I feel like that's part of the marketing as well. Like health is such a buzzword now in lots of marketing circles. So my mind jumps to green, like exercise, fitness, but not like continually in the way that you specified. So yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Merci.
Number 2.
All right, number 13.
13 technically.
Oh, that is gonna.
We're finishing off from the last one.
Oh yeah, we want to end on 2023, not 2011.
Anyway, 13. The only way to see into the future is to observe the nature of your loved one.
I'm gonna need you to repeat that one again.
Yo, chill with that. Yo, chill. Hey, yo, don't get any ideas, bro.
The heat, bro. I did leave some.
Bro.
Really?
Yeah, you jumped from like little to big. So
man, jump from what is health to this.
The only way to see into the future is to observe the nature of your loved one.
Wow. Okay.
Because your loved ones are gonna be what shape your future. Essentially, it's similar to what you said about in the previous episode about the mirror, like maze, right? And your friends, your loved one is a huge reflection of what your future will be. Basically.
Thank you for your contribution, Tala.
Yeah,
Simon.
Wow.
And that's how I think of it, and I would agree with that, because there's a lot to say about, especially in Islam, when it comes to like who you choose to live the rest of your life with, right? Whoever your loved one is, they share a huge part in how you spend your money, what you put your money towards, how your kids grow up, right? Because that's all your future. And so definitely the type of person they are, understanding who your loved one is gives you a glimpse or understanding of your future. So I definitely agree with
You're
that.
impressing me in this series.
What do you mean? I've spoken to you
You're
about this
actually
before.
impressing me a lot.
I've spoken to you. I'm being ridiculed here.
I didn't expect you to.
Mirrors was the activation phrase. For
Yeah, okay. New arc. My villain arc is about to start.
Oh no. Well, I feel like when you say a loved one, I think like a loved one is quite possibly, and this might be, incorrect, but I feel like a loved one is the greatest reflection of your character, because this person is the closest person to you that you will ever experience. I mean, of course, you divorce and you can be another person, but I always feel like your loved one will carry with you the way that you treat them and take that and treat you back in a very similar fashion. So when you say into the future, I feel like your loved one will always be the greatest, like the most clear mirror as you move forward.
Yeah, most definitely. You guys hit it right.
We're using that mirror analogy.
Wow, it's working.
No, but real talk. Do you guys know what's the single variable that's going to predict your happiness, your health, the capacity at which your children end up being wealthy, how successful they are in academics?
It's your significant other.
It's literally who you end up choosing to live your life with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying this conceptually is different. Having it to be scientifically proven is a totally different thing. I'm telling you, like, this is the thing that will determine how successful your life is moving forward.
Now, I can see that like from a, just general standpoint, but what is the science behind that?
The science behind it is just they've basically examined the traits of people who are in successful marriages. And they've also examined, for example, the success of their children. And they've examined like a whole
By
sort
successful
of variables.
Marriages, you mean like they've lived all the way to the end,
Happy,
They didn't
healthy,
they didn't divorce,
they
nothing.
didn't divorce, so on and so forth, and they've basically assessed this on their kids, offspring, whatever you want to call them.
Wow.
Basically, like how wealthy they become, how successful they are in academics, how socially likable they are, and generally speaking, they end up really performing way above average. The success of your marriage is literally the success of your entire
life.
Not only life, but like
but it's also
every single person that's coming after you.
Attached to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a stat for you. What's the number one predictor of suicide among children?
I would say it was probably going to be education.
No.
Stress from
Well,
parents.
what's the number one predictor of abuse in the household?
Divorce rates.
No.
Is it the father?
Living with non-biological parents.
Non-biological parents.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so even if one of them aren't, even if you're
That is
like
already
even if
deciding
you've got a stepdad or a stepmother already, your chances of like
Oh, that's insane.
abuse, like substance abuse, suicide, like a
interesting.
whole other sort of.
Yeah.
It's just crazy the amount of impact that this could have just because of the
Right.
fact that you're not with your biological parents.
Like even if that parent is like that stepfather or
Even,
stepmother is the
yeah.
best,
Yeah.
supportive.
Yeah,
They're
like
still going to be an estranged sort of
like obviously not as much of an increase
Yeah,
as
it's
the
not-
other,
it
but like
depends, I guess, on
there's
that,
still
too.
an
There's
increase.
still
but
a variable
it's
there.
still there. The fact that it's
Still
still
there.
there is what
Yeah.
like amazes me.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the fascinating part. Like there's still studies being done about whether that's increase, even with like a phenomenal step parent, is a significant difference statistically. But there is still a increase. This is one of the things where the traditional values that like have been adopted over centuries and now are kind of being dissolved. It's because we didn't see the utility in that. This is one of those things where we're like, oh,
You don't realize it until it's
that's
gone.
why. That's why the people stayed monogamous. That's why people decided on like staying in like families that are usually nuclear.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is why.
I'm both amazed at like the scope of empirical evidence that we have for this, and also the fact that this actually like works out and has been verified.
I really like this one. There's a lot to talk about with this one. You could definitely go a lot more emotional
Yeah.
within this.
Well, I think a great partner doesn't fix you; they bring out the best in you, and I like that one. So
Oh, right. I was going to say basically is just when going into the new year or going in the future, right? With this advice, I think because these are quotes, but you can also take them as advice. It sort of helps you sort of as a guideline as to like when you meet people or when you sometimes think, oh, are they the person right for you? You want to first understand what future you want for yourself. And I think that when you grasp hold of that, right, that'll sort of lead you to the right person, basically.
I actually have something to say about that. I think this is a weird way to put it, but like just give it a moment.
Okay.
Yeah? Let me cook.
Let him cook. All right. Cook.
You shouldn't ever choose to marry anybody that you feel wouldn't be your best friend. Okay?
wow.
I agree.
Like, this is what I mean. Like, if they switch genders, would you still want to be with this person, like, and hang out with them? Right? Right?
Now you've turned it around.
So this is the idea. It's like, and the second thing is, do you admire them for their characteristics? I don't mean the physical appearance. Do you admire them? Do you look up to them? That's a very important thing. They're incredibly honest, incredibly principled, like these are things that make
The future. For you.
yeah, these define how you're going to end up interacting, and it will rub off on you. The thing is, over time, couples tend to actually become more and more similar. The more,
I've heard about that too.
Right?
Yeah, but
and they actually share memories. So like they'll complete each other's memories. Like the amount of interaction, the things that are predetermined just because of like you picking that person as your future significant other for the rest of your life, is that you practically share everything and eventually kind of in a weird way become one person.
it's a good way of, like, a very unique way of thinking about it. I've never really thought about it like being too.
There's a big wormhole that you can dive into when you just keep on elaborating on this more and more. But yeah,
Man, this onion keeps going.
yeah.
Yeah.
But just to
But we
put it
do
into your
need to go.
perspective, and yeah, we need to move on.
We need to
definitely.
move
Like,
on
we would
and
love to talk about.
we
We
could
would
keep
love
talking about it.
to talk about
Yeah.
love, but like
It'd be
we
kind
need
of
to
an
move on.
interesting topic, though, if we do want to talk about it.
Yeah. All right. So 14.
All right.
Discipline is to motivation what the sun is to a candlelight.
Well, this one's hard to decipher.
Discipline is
actually.
to what? Sorry.
Discipline is to motivation what the sun is to a candlelight.
Okay, I can think about it in like two ways. When I think about it, like I always start with the general one. I think, oh yeah, well, sun, you require heat to produce the flame on a candle, and discipline is required for to get motivated. But I also feel like too much heat, too much sunlight will burn that candle to a crisp. Too much discipline, too rigid of a schedule, too much rigidity will cause your motivation to collapse because you are no longer going to be able to sustain that new sort of cycle that you've created for yourself. You've trapped yourself. You've killed off the candle before it can even, exist. And if we even want to go into the even deeper than that, every candle when lit casts a shadow. So, well, actually, no, I'm not gonna get into that one. Let's keep going.
No, like I would love to hear it. Like, yeah.
It's not even fully formed. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with the way Simon is thinking of this. I mean, obviously you think the way you want, but I would say I'm not saying you're wrong.
Well, what an asshole.
No, that's
Prove
not
me
what
wrong.
That's not what I meant. I meant basically like I see it more so as like you have a candlelight, right? It just has a precise amount of fire, right? To achieve that controlled amount of fire, I feel like you have to deal with the big sort of picture of things, or like which is the sun, right? And I think to achieve that, to get motivation in anything, you need to first acknowledge and perceive and understand discipline, right? Is you have to understand discipline. And once you have sort of condensed and understand discipline, only then can you sort of have that controlled fire of a candlelight, basically, which is motivation.
I'm so glad we don't think uniformly.
Yeah, we both went for the same like an analogy sort of explanation,
Analogy
but the way
explanation.
that we went about it was like reverse.
So what I meant by this is that the candlelight is fleeting. Motivation is fleeting.
Oof.
Oh,
Okay. So discipline, which is basically like the metaphor of the sun being periodic, it's always
daily.
continuously.
Yeah.
And the fact is that the sun it's much more useful of a source of light than a candlelight, right? So it shines upon many more things. So this is what discipline can achieve for you. The amount of things that come out of discipline are so much more than a fleeting candlelight. So a lot of people wait until they're motivated to do something. But it's the fact that like discipline is the thing that is actually required. It's the most essential, much like the sun is to the process of like creation of food and us being here. All of it is because of the sun.
After listening to his explanation, I feel really stupid. I am not worthy.
Oh, I do like that explanation though, like stripping it down to like discipline as a more broad idea. I think that's a very good way of thinking. I still stand by my explanation too, but I do like yours. So I will nod my head for the viewers who can't see me.
I'm confused for the viewers who can't see me.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm still like it's like a lot to take in. I felt like my perspective is now seems dumb. I do get what you're saying, but it's very like it still feels very vague in a way. Like, what is the end goal with this quote? Like, what are you trying to tell yourself by reading this quote? What are you trying to tell yourself in the end?
It's a little bit open-ended, but the idea is that candlelights, since they're fleeting and suns are pretty much constant because of the fact that like they shine, they rise and set almost every day. Like be as constant as the sun. Your discipline needs to be that way. And this is what offers so much more utility than a candlelight.
And you're trying, it's the utility part. There we go.
Yeah.
The utility.
Yeah.
It's brighter, basically.
Much more.
It does much more than basically just motivating yourself.
And it's in the absence of discipline you require a candlelight.
We were literally talking about this, and we just had a break where we were just talking about my gym schedule, right? It's like, it's not about motivating myself to go to the gym. It's the discipline of, okay, like I said, I want to maintain my schedule. Like I said, I would probably change it, but I said, no, guys, I want to keep that schedule because it's that discipline, right?
Be like the sun, brother.
Don't be a candle.
Exactly. It's not the motivation. It's not like saying, oh, I'm going to go to the gym now. Or it's not like the people who say 1st of January is my New Year's
the New Year's resolution
that
effect.
Motivation thing. It's a candlelight basically. What you really need is discipline to just keep
you need
a
light that keeps you going, not a tiny little light that'll go out in an hour.
Yes. Now I see.
Just as sure as you are about the sun rising the next morning, you need to be sure about your discipline that way too.
Oh, I like that.
I like
that too.
Yeah. So 14. 14? No, 15. This one's gonna hit hard.
Oh no!
Okay.
Man,
I already feel personally
the one
attacked.
before this one, number 13 hit hard, and then like this one was confusing me in the brain, and now I'm not confused. But now you're gonna hit hard again.
It's not gonna be confusing.
I know, but it's gonna hit hard, man. I really wanted something like haha funny, you know?
Like sleep is good. You know?
Okay.
The sleep.
Okay, listen. This is the most
hardest
sad one.
Oh,
right. Okay. So
I'm ready.
don't mourn the absence of those who never acknowledged your presence.
I've heard this one before.
What do you mean? Like I created this?
You created this? No, as in like I've seen and heard this one before where it's like, don't stick around with people who don't want.
Yeah, conceptually. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
who don't want to be, who don't care for you in the first place, right? Who don't want, like, who would never, don't have a second thought for somebody who would never have a second thought for you, basically.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sort of similar to that. I know you put it in your own words, but I think I like your way. Like this, it's a lot more complex. You know, the type of person you are. You try to make things
Do
a
you
little
mean sophisticated?
sophisticated.
Eloquent.
That's too big of a word for
I had
me.
to throw in the accent. Yeah, too many syllables. I can't do this.
Leviosa.
It's not leviosa. It's not leviosa. It's leviosa.
Oh, big word make me sad.
Yeah, but like the idea behind the don't mourn the absence of, there are a lot of people who think about, you know, being with other people all the time when those people do not care about you at all.
Yeah.
Like this might be very relevant to people who, for example, might not be as popular at school, right?
Okay.
Who think to themselves like, oh man, like I'm always thinking about being the popular kid. I want to go out with the popular kids. Popular kids don't care about you.
They don't care about you.
Yeah, so like you might as well do your own thing. But this can also apply to a lot of people that, like, especially if you're trying to find someone in your life, like, and they're not giving you anything to go off. If you're forcing conversations and certain stuff, like especially friends, there are a lot of people who are like that.
I think very successful relationships with like whether it's your friend or a partner, right, are where you can reciprocate with each other. right?
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
It's
Yeah.
two-way street.
Yeah,
like it's
definitely.
not. It's mutually not. I don't want to use the term mutually beneficial because you can obviously gain from each other in a not healthy way as well. Mutually beneficial in the sense, like I said,
If
you
it's
reciprocate.
unhealthy, is it still mutually beneficial?
Well, like as in you're trying to like gain off of each other, right? When it's that's what because I was talking about a healthy relationship. When you're trying to gain off of each other, you could hurt each other in ways, right? So
Definitely.
reciprocate in terms of care, in terms of
Give
like
back,
give
right?
back, right?
Yeah,
If you
definitely.
gain something from them, you give that same thing back, and sort of helps them in a positive way. That's what I think a successful relationship is.
Number 16. Respect everyone. Admire some. Worship no one.
Interesting. When I think worship, the first thing that comes to my mind now is online, like celebrities, people worshiping people they've never met. And that is like such a huge pool of just
Is it cringe?
not the word I was going to use, but a synonym, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you've never met someone, what traits are you admiring? Are these traits real? Because I think you can admire certain traits. I think, like you say, you should respect what people are thinking, like what is going through their head, why they're doing the things that they are. But you can't pretend like you understand every facet of it. If you worship something like, and now my mind is thinking, oh, medieval times, you worship a king. You are groveling at their feet and trying to like, oh, they just want the best for me, whatever. But chances are, this person that's ever met you, they don't care about you.
Yeah.
Almost
So
to bring
I
it back.
think of the key to this is understanding the three things here, which is respect, which is admire, and which is worship, right? Okay, separating those three things. I think, and if you define those three things, I think when you respect somebody, right, I feel like that's acknowledge their existence, acknowledge that they are human, acknowledge that they are someone not similar to you, but as a being, right, that they exist. Respect that. They will have their own thoughts. You'll have your own thoughts,
own
right?
opinions, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Second, admire some. Admire, I would think of it as, and when you admire some, right, it's basically you want to be something like that, right? When you admire somebody, you're trying to be like that. You want the qualities that they have.
You're picking
right?
out the
You're
parts
picking out the
that are-
parts that you
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And then with worship, the thing with worship is you're trying to replicate what they are, and you're not true to yourself, basically.
It's unconditional admiration.
Yes,
That's what
basically.
worship
It's
is.
unconditional admiration where you, again, it's also like related to the whole reciprocation type of thing, where if you admire somebody, you're probably going to get something out of it, right? Whereas when you worship somebody, you get nothing. Like it's
get
like
a
you're
clone.
not, you get a clone.
It's not
You
much
get-
about what you gain, though. It's about the fact that the things that you admire about someone, yes, you would like them to be in you, for example, but it's more
It's
that
something you aspire, though, right? It's something
Yeah.
you want to achieve.
it's a higher level of respect,
Yes.
right? And worshiping is basically saying that regardless of whatever trace this person is, right, I admire them.
Yes.
Right.
And that's dangerous. I
That's
feel.
dangerous.
That
Yeah.
removes your personal identity. I feel that
Yeah.
also leads you into a dead end, and it also leads to minimal
Yeah.
gain in terms of like
You
what
see
got.
this you see this all the time in like cults and public figures. Some people most likely worship people that they shouldn't, and I would say you shouldn't worship
Because
any
they're not
human being.
admiring the person. When they worship them, you're sort of growing what their goals are. You just blindly attach yourself because you feel like that's the solution.
Yeah,
to
you
things.
put them on a pedestal,
Yes.
much like you would give a deity. That's like perfect. You can't do that to a human.
Charisma is a toxin.
And when you
like,
admire someone, you acknowledge their weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you realize that they have problems
It's
or whatnot.
superficial.
But
Yeah.
there are these certain things or goals that you want to achieve, and they are, if you admire it, you are on the path to sort of achieving, blah, 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 that sort of thing, I think.
Yeah.
Respect is, again, like I said, just acknowledge their existence.
Now the next one. Okay. The next one is my worst one in my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for telling us in advance.
Yes, I'm just letting you guys know. But like one person did like it, right? And this
Was
is why
that
I
one
wrote it
friend who
down.
hated your previous
No.
one?
No, actually, like when I said it, they were like, "Oh man, that seems deep." So that's why I wrote it down.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Right. So I've never seen a hungry dog throw away its food. So don't reject help when you need it.
A hungry dog doesn't throw away his food. It's like no matter who you are, I think you should take help is what it's trying to say here. Like regardless of what
Like-
position you're in, always be open to help, right? It doesn't mean you should always take help, right? It just means be open to it. Don't shut the door on help unnecessarily. Have that avenue open and welcome it.
I think like if we're gonna go with your explanation of it, then I think that dog also needs to be selective. Like they can't just
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
because like I've seen people feed dogs some pretty terrible stuff. So like not all help is good help. In fact, sometimes it could lead you even worse to worse places. So I think to take it with a pinch of salt and to expand on Ta's last idea, it's like, take food, but be mindful. Like be mindful of what support you are getting and make sure it actually helps and doesn't just make it worse for you.
Is that? But this sort of disagrees with what you're saying. You're sort of
no, like it's good that it does because honestly, I agree with that. Like,
is that why you think it's the
help is
worst?
Actually, no, not necessarily. It's just like
So I thought it was pretty good, but
really? I think it was probably his worst one today.
yeah.
The
other ones were like, wow.
Because this one clearly you can tell. Like again, it's like you can't.
It's only the
always
worst
take
because we didn't have to like struggle to explain it.
Yeah.
yeah. Explain why we disagree.
But like in this case, it's just I'm trying to say that much like how a dog would like to eat its food when it's hungry and acknowledges the need of basically eating, people who need help need to acknowledge the fact that they do. Right? So they shouldn't reject it when it's there. Like a lot of people get into this self-deprecating cycle of trying not to get help and like still getting worse and all of that stuff.
I think you could create a better quote for this. Like this meeting that you have, I genuinely feel like you could. You needs work for us. Good, but needs work.
Wow.
I just critiqued.
I literally, bro.
Move on.
I said it at the very beginning, right? I gave you the fact that like it's going to be the worst one here, and this man still gave me trash for it.
Just went again.
All right. Anyways, 19.
All right.
By the way, I cheated a little bit and put in 4 different quotes from the last year that aren't mine, but I think are really important. Like these are the best quotes that I've heard.
Have we experienced some of these yet?
No. This is so far everything was mine. Okay. These are the next 4 that I personally think are the best quotes that I've heard.
This is where the plagiarism begins.
Yes, exactly. In times of peace, the militant man attacks himself. That's Friedrich Nietzsche.
Wow. Never heard the word militant.
I've heard of this before, but I've never really considered it. I've just read it. I think.
Well, okay. If I can go first, my interpretation is I think back to like ancient Greek governments because they're only in office for 2. I think it was 2 years. I might be incorrect. So they always look for opportunities to establish their name in history. They always look for war. They always attack when they can and try, even when times are peaceful, they always go for whatever battles they can because they want to be remembered as Emperor insert name here who led the charge and whatever. So to bring it back into present day, I think about it like this. The militant man is always searching for conflict because he would be bored in peacetime.
No, but like the militant man attacks himself.
Yeah, and that's
so
like
it comes back at them basically, and he's saying that's why Greeks
there's no target, so he's just gonna make things harder on himself.
I think,
right?
I definitely, I could even see that with like something like the U.S., right, where in the past like they were a big superpower, right? So militant man, right, and then now slightly more peaceful times, right, with globalization, people being more connected. I feel like the militant man still wanted to look for ways to disrupt this peace, and all it did was also cause not only problems for others but also for itself as well. Like if you look at America right now, it's also still they still have internal conflicts as well, external conflicts, right? This is the best way I could think of it on a larger scope, I guess, if I were to use an example. I'm pretty sure for us there's probably different meaning behind it as well. I feel like we didn't hit the mark with this one.
It's interesting because everybody that reads quotes like these recognizes its profoundness, but everybody gets a different interpretation of it, so they have a different idea of why it's profound.
Well, I guess that's our own experiences and way of thinking, right? So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I think my interpretation of it was similar to Nietzsche's, but not necessarily what he meant. What he's basically saying here is this: during times of comfort, people eat away at themselves. Okay, this is basically what they're trying. He's saying it's like, think about our current time. This is the best quote, I think, that exemplifies our current lifestyle, especially here in the West, is that a lot of people have a lot of comforts, okay? They tend to self-sabotage without even knowing. Okay.
Interesting.
They choose the comfortable lifestyle and the comfortable ideologies and the comfortable ideas, and basically they don't challenge themselves. And what that does is that it hinders their progress. It hinders their development. It makes it so toxic for them to stay within this bubble that they damage themselves, right? The funny part is, like, a lot of people might say, like, okay, back then we used to have really hard lives. A lot of people used to have like labor intensive jobs. Now we're sitting down. Things are better. Is it? You know, how long are you going to sit down? It's not even good for your body. Okay. Those guys are getting exercise, by the way. Do you understand the amount of detrimental effects that end up accumulating because of the lifestyle that we currently live, which is basically a couch potato to like an office worker that doesn't move? It's crazy how terrible our bodies are and our minds are, because the thing is, a lot of people do not make the association that, for example, if I'm sitting down for hours on end doing work on my laptop, I must be engaging my brain, therefore this is enough for my brain to stay healthy. The only thing, and this is the fascinating part of your brain biology and psychology, the only thing that increases your chances of maintaining a healthy brain without having, not necessarily without having, but decreasing the chances of you having diseases, like when you get older, is exercise. It's not cognitive games. It's not playing chess. It's not reading. It's exercise. That's the only thing that ensures that your brain maintains its health.
Interesting.
I just want everybody to basically like deliberate on the idea of like how they're leading their lives and whether truly they're doing the best things that they're currently doing for themselves, because they might be killing themselves slowly without realizing it.
Right.
That was my interpretation.
Dang. I know there's like no right answer, but geez,
I don't know how to respond to that either. I think this is where we
can carry on.
Yeah, I think so. I was gonna think of this as related to our religion, basically, where we've been told that when it comes to people who are, you know, struggling, or people who are fighting, right? Like I think of, like, if you're a militant man, you're struggling, you're fighting, right? And when you're trying to achieve something, right, you want something in life or whatever, and you tend to, where we say we make a lot of dua, we worship our God a lot, right? We ask him and we're like, okay, we want this and this and this, and we're always praying and all this sort of stuff. But then once you achieve that, right, maybe like, I don't know, you get a job, you're settled, like you have everything you need in life, right? Then what happens a lot with people is that when you're out of that struggle, they become less spiritual. Sort of when you're in that time of peace, right, you become sort of less spiritual, you stop praying as much and stuff, and then you sort of eat at yourself and become a worse person and put yourself back into that sort of distraught position you were in before, and then you go back to like trying to...
Because here's the idea. It's like, for example, in the Islamic religion as well, you're very much taught about the idea of always, even during hardship or during times of comfort, to always do what you're supposed to do. Praying, deliberating on your actions, whether it was good or not. Like there's a catch-all term called dhikr, which is basically the idea of like always remembering God before everything else, which is like an accountability mechanism for anything.
This is why you always say Bismillah when you like do anything in your life. You always say Alhamdulillah. Like, you probably hear it
before, like before you eat, you say Bismillah, which is like by the name of God. So you're thankful. You're
always constantly thinking.
This is a very like a thing that's seen cross culturally as well. So I see a lot of people thanking the fact that they have food to eat for today. Yeah.
Well, I feel like once you've reached a level that, like you indicated, Tal, like where you have everything and God has like nothing left to give you, then you will lose faith because you're viewing it as transactional. Like rather, you should be.
It's never that's the right word he said, because I remember hearing this a lot, whether it's in khutbahs or something, is where they always say your relationship with God or Allah, right, is not transactional.
It's not like constant. I give this and you give this.
It's not. He will give you constantly if you just have to constantly worship him, right, and you will see success. Yeah, right. It's not transactional. It's not like, oh, okay, I got what I needed. We part our ways.
But it also makes a lot of sense why the nature of this life is struggles, because obviously you're being examined about your character But obviously, we're like,
I like how this simple quote went pretty deep as well. Can be thought of in many avenues as well, whether it's religious, whether it's
can be applied
thinking
in a lot
about
of-
world history or whatever. It's a lot of ways.
Is this guy still around? Just curious.
Nietzsche? Nah, he went crazy and died.
So we gotta move on.
It's actually hilarious. Anybody who read Friedrich Nietzsche is going to find this so hilariously ironic, the fact that we turned this into a religious thing.
Is he a hardcore atheist?
No, he has a very famous quote about, like, there's no longer a God, we killed him. Like,
okay.
Yeah, something along
I've
those
heard something
lines.
like that,
Yeah. He's also the guy who said, well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, brother. That comes from him.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
That's
So-
a quote I can give ahead. But anyways,
Yeah. 20. This is by Jim Ron. He's an entrepreneur. We must all suffer from one of 2 points: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons.
yeah, I can see where this is going. Simon, thoughts?
I mean, it doesn't seem like a very... Maybe I'm just dumb and I'm not getting like the deeper meaning, but it feels like it makes sense to me, like just from a very general standpoint, because regrets will always carry you down. Yeah. And not even like in a hypothetical sense, but you always be thinking about them. They'll weigh down your brain because you're always thinking, what could I have done? What if? Right? And that's not a very good question to ask sometimes when you're looking back. Whereas the other one, it makes more like it makes sense not to hang on regrets, because that's crazy.
I'm probably taking this as one of the better quotes that I took out from this session today. I would say that if you're having trouble understanding this quote, I would say, in my opinion, look at the part about the regret. The pain of regret is far more than the pain of discipline, because the pain of regret is essentially, like Simon mentioned, it weighs you down, right? And when it's weighing you down, it has a whole lot more detrimental effect on you, because you're not thinking positively, you're probably thinking the past, right? And when you think in the past, it adds no effect, it adds no value to you, right? You're not building onwards, is what I'm trying to say here. You're only going backwards. This is why they say you're not walking forwards looking backwards, right? You're always walking forwards looking in the front, right? Otherwise you're going to run into a wall. You're going to hurt yourself, basically, is a way to think about it. And so that's why the pain of discipline, with discipline, the thing is, suffering from that is easier because that helps you. So like, even though it hurts, right? Like discipline, like setting up a routine or whatever, it hurts because you're trying to change something about yourself. But it's for the better, right? So that's why it weighs less. It counters that. Maybe they're the same weight, but it counters that like balance.
Yeah, like discipline is a better teacher than regret.
It's a better teacher. It adds more positive value.
Yeah, like when you receive an injury, if we're going to use this analogy, by discipline, you're building muscles. When you receive an injury from regret, you
are basically cutting your arm off.
You're
giving yourself...
You're amputating yourself.
You're amputating yourself, basically.
There are 2 ways that I personally interpreted this, which is, the first one is that you'll realize that the outcome of both of them is pain, but only one ends up giving you something. Okay? So you choose. You either get pain with nothing or pain with something. And it's the difference between regret and discipline is that discipline is a mindful action. Okay? Regret is something that you cannot control.
It's a reflex.
Yeah, it's more reflexive. And this is the payment that you end up paying, is that you choose the painful way. Right. And this is exactly why you end up getting something from it.
But, and why it weighs less in the end.
Yeah. But the other thing is that discipline, it kind of feels like it pays dividends over time. So the idea is that it's gradual, it's incremental. Okay? Regret, piercing, almost instantaneously large, and
getting
for
hit
a
by
long
a bus.
period of time.
Yeah.
It's like getting hit by a bus. I imagine the cumulative pain of being pinched by a needle eventually can get to a bus, but being hit by a bus can kill you. So,
and you can get used to the needle, rather the bus. You will never get used to getting hit by a bus.
Very much so. Yeah. So that's my interpretations of it. The next one, this is funny because you can apply this to a lot of the stuff that we talked about. It's also by Nietzsche. They muddy the water to make it seem deep.
Problems aren't big as they seem.
No.
You're basically just creating problems for yourself.
This is one of them, like, English teachers who are like, remember, no answers are wrong answers. And all answers are okay and correct. And then somebody puts their hand up, says something ridiculous. No, that's not it. Yeah, something along those.
Sure, you're speaking for a dead man.
Yeah,
a madman.
It's what I feel is basically. I mean, muddy waters just to make it seem. It's just that people make out situations to be a lot worse than they actually are, right? That's all.
No, that's not what he meant.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was like a brevity is the soul of wit type of situation where it's like the less details go into certain, like the most simple of problems, the less stressed you will be because you're tackling problems head on. But
Who's closer to the truth, me or Simon?
I think it's Simon, but the idea is that, when he means deep, he means figuratively deep. Like, what he means by they muddy the water is that they complicate things to make it seem more sophisticated.
Like
That's what I said. They make it seem like a bigger situation than it already is, basically.
his explanation is more.
No, I said basically they make a situation seem a lot more worse than it actually is.
We'll give you half marks for that one.
No.
Yeah.
It's going to mess his GPA.
22. This is by Marcus Aurelius. This is my favorite quote by him. It's a little bit long, but that's fine. Stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore?
Oh, that's the end of the quote?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, it kind of looks long here, okay? Like, on the screen. Like, I know the Jim Rohn one was just about, I think it was a little bit longer. But, yeah, like, this is one of the longer Marcus Aurelius quotes.
I'm still thinking about my part mark.
Okay, anyways. Stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore?
I can give you a million reasons to be afraid of death, and that's not like the thing I would be thinking of.
Are you afraid of death? Sorry, are you afraid of death because you're thinking of
like?
Okay, so when he says stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death? He's trying to tell you should stop whatever you're doing at times and ask yourself if you're doing something that you would genuinely be happy about doing and spending your life doing it.
so that when you die, you're not afraid?
Yeah, so like, no, it's like, are you afraid of death because you can't do this anymore?
You're going to miss it.
Right? So it's
basically.
kind of
You're gonna
like,
miss it.
yeah, you're doing a mindful, like this is basically a call to action for anybody who's living life just passively thinking that they're going to live forever. Okay? This is the idea that you should always mindfully pick out the things that you're going to be doing, your activities, the things that you do on a daily basis, and make sure that it's things that you will miss.
Do things that are significant, basically.
Exactly.
Because you probably won't miss watching YouTube when you die.
You won't regret, right? Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like this quote, definitely. Just
A lot of wisdom just changes your perspective on the same thing. They just give you like a better reason for it.
Well, I found a lot of your quotes today have been like establish a good cycle, do things that are meaningful, healthy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I still think that meaning is well
and
expressed.
They add value to general quotes you hear in a day. It's like an additional thing, like just to give you that edge to sort of understand.
Sometimes you need to paraphrase that life philosophy in a way that you can repeat yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah. The last one. That's
all
coming
right.
up.
Number 23.
What are we doing for time?
I think this is about it. We probably want like 5 minutes as well into this 5 to 10
Okay,
minutes.
the last one. It's mine, and it's not as profound as the other. Maybe there's a self-deprecating bias here because like the last four were like
Because you're afraid of
personally think it's
criticism.
really good. No, I think this is okay, but I think why I chose this to be the last one is that the more that I think about it, the
Right.
deeper it gets, right? And that's why I chose it to be the last one. So
Give it to us. I'm ready.
all
I
right,
myself up.
let's do it.
Ooh-ah. All right.
Life burdens those it believes are worthy of its blessings.
Life burdens those who believe they are worthy of their blessings.
Life burdens those it believes are worthy of its blessings.
Oh, I see. Those who deserve the best in the world will always have a struggle. Life will give them the hardest struggle to achieve what they want in life, to get the best in life.
Yeah.
That's the direction I was also thinking.
It's so beautifully put because it's sort of backwards, right? And I feel like it.
Aww.
Oh wait, right? I forgot he
No,
said this.
no.
Damn it! I thought we were no.
This wasn't made by a dead man yet.
Damn it! I thought I've outed myself.
Half
This
marks.
negativity bias basically went out the door.
I have to change my identity. I have to change.
It's like, what? Did I actually like something Firas said?
I take it back.
I
was
take it
Nietzsche.
back. For us, this was disgusting. I'm done with
Do
you.
you think so?
Yeah, pathetic.
No take backsies.
Did we hit this one on the nail, or was it?
Yeah, pretty much.
And
But-
I really like this one because again, a lot of these quotes, like I will say, align very well with what we're taught in Islam as well. It's like life will always, like, God favors those the most who he chooses to
test.
to test. Basically, it's all a test, right? If you're being tested, right, it means God is favoring you, right? He's sort of like, you think he's paying more attention to you in a way. It's like,
Yeah.
in a way, I guess.
I think it goes hand in hand with a lot of the other lessons we've said,
Yeah.
like especially the domino one. I think of just because. Oh shoot, that was from a previous episode. But anyway, like a lot of this is about putting in the work and then being not necessarily rewarded, but you see where it pays off,
Yeah.
and it makes sense.
And it will
do it
pay
that way.
off. Hard work always pays off, and there's many examples of this. Like again,
Yeah.
like you can relate to either your personal life, right? And think of the smallest things ever, right? Hard work does
Yeah.
pay off. Like think of yourself as if you've graduated already, right? And you feel like yourself that you're happy with graduating. Think about all the times that you struggled with like studying for exams or something, right?
Yeah.
The struggle you felt in the end will always pay off. Whether even that can be on a daily basis as well. Like the struggle to do a couple of chores in the morning, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they pay off because you didn't put them off. And then like stuff like this, it always makes sense. Whether you apply it to a small scale, a general scale, or like,
you can't achieve
the big
greatness
picture.
without some degree of challenge.
Yeah. You could relate it to like
Some
people in
obstacle.
the
And
past.
And that's what makes it valuable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn from it. It becomes a part of that, right?
Yeah. Because like there are two different things that I can get into right now that will also be like their own coach. But like if you ended up like if you started at the top, the only way forward is going down, basically. It's like for a lot of people who've been born rich, got everything, there's only one way. And that is
Downwards.
Going downwards.
They released a book called Spare.
there's nothing to gain.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to gain.
Yeah.
Like
That joke was kind of underrated, by the way.
yeah. This last one about life burdens those it believes are worthy of its blessings actually came from a different quote. And this is the honorary, like, honorable mentions.
Okay.
These are the
All right.
honorable mentions.
Ross, when are you going to feed us?
Yeah. Okay. Eventually. This one I think.
We've been trapped here for
we'll
2
hit up.
hours.
Okay.
He's locked us in.
I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to solve. I asked for prosperity, and God gave me brawn and brains to work. I asked for courage, and God gave me dangers to overcome. I asked for patience, and God placed me in situations where I was forced to wait. I asked for love, and God gave me troubled people to help. I asked for favors, and God gave me opportunities. I asked for everything so I could enjoy life. Instead, He gave me life so I could enjoy everything. I received nothing I wanted. I received everything I needed. And that's the end of the episode for today. What?
Did you write this?
No.
Okay, good. Thank God.
I feel like unpacking that is going to take a few more hours.
He was like, bro, what are you even doing in school? Just like write books about this stuff. Anyway,
Anyways,
did you guys enjoy this? I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
That was-
Definitely, there were a
yeah.
few takeaways that I liked. Some stuff that we did disagree with.
Yeah.
Or disagree on. And
That's fine. I like
yeah.
the difference of perspectives, if anything. Like a lot of our interpretations
yeah.
were either so different or like completely aligned in the same
but
direction.
maybe a different perspective
Yeah,
on how
yeah,
to take
yeah.
it as well, like the mirror maze thing, right, and stuff
Yeah.
From the previous episode.
from the previous. Like there's quite a lot of ways you can perceive it, and not all of them have. Even if you perceive a quote a different way, that doesn't have to be a bad way, right?
Yeah, as long as
Again,
it's profound to you and it's meaningful to you
Remember,
and it
it's-
offers value to you.
it is healthy, which is productivity and longevity.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly,
I learned something. Where's my full mark?
honestly, I wouldn't have attributed health to what he just described. But the fact that I gave him the definition, he actually applied it appropriately. I can't say anything.
This is how I got full marks in English class, bro.
Anyways, I hope the audience enjoyed just as much. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for you to listen to the happiness series. I hope you enjoy that one. Let your friends and family know about us, please. We beg you. I'm kidding. Like, if you enjoyed our stuff, please share it around. That will mean the world to us. And we wish you a good evening, afternoon, morning. Yeah.
wherever
Yeah.
you are in the world.
Wherever you are.
Check us out on Instagram and TikTok. We are publishing some pretty fun snippets. So
And we might even have some behind the scenes conversations, especially conversations we have before episodes that you don't want to miss out on. Topics about anime, haircuts, etc.
now they're not gonna follow us, Tola.
Yeah.
Anyway, stay tuned.
Yeah. See you guys in 2 weeks.